Welcome back, beautiful souls, to the Luminary Podcast. I'm your host, Annie Perry, professional psychic channel, quantum healer, Ascension guide, just another drop in the cosmic bucket, just like you. If it's your first time tuning into the Luminary Podcast, welcome. I am so honored to have you here and to have your time, energy, attention, and to hopefully gift you some divine remembrance. And it's really my entire soul mission. That is why I am here. That is why I'm on this planet. I don't get up in the morning and wonder why I'm here, where did I come from, why am I doing this? Oh no, when you are a channel, you know exactly why you chose what you chose. And honestly, who's to say knowing or not knowing is better? But that is exactly why I'm here on this planet, to activate and illuminate light leaders exactly like yourself, whether you have been going through your spiritual awakening for many years or whether you are just curious and kind of dipping your toes in. Fair warning, I am absolutely the deep end, but if you would like to swim here, you are so welcome, and I'm happy that you're here. Hello, beautiful beings, all of you that regularly listen, loving you all, and just so grateful for every single one of you, especially this week. Why is that? Because over the last 7 days, we have launched the YouTube channel. It has been absolutely breathtaking. There have been scary moments. There have been frustrating moments. There have been so many moments whenever you are learning a new platform, but I absolutely love it. I cannot imagine now not having it, a place to just continuously create all of these activations, guided meditations, the quantum healings, to put the podcast there. Just so much is coming through, and I cannot imagine not having it. It's been the most incredible week, and I'm so grateful to all of you that have taken the time to subscribe, to watch the different videos. Most of them are audio, so to listen to the different videos. And to those of you who could come to the live activation that we had on Saturday, or you can watch the replay, it was really, really powerful. It was on the day of the solar eclipse, and I mean, that day was just so special. It was everything about it was really divine, including the 4-hour nap that I had after the activation, because it was so intense that I literally just passed out and woke up 4 hours later and didn't know where I was. But anyways, the morning of the eclipse, I was getting up, I was like making my chai tea, and I look out the kitchen window and I'm like, oh my God, I can see the sun, and there was just enough cloud coverage that I could look directly at the sun without being blinded. And I was able to see the moon start to merge in front of the sun. And it was like so divine. It was as if my spirit guides put this very, kind of thin cloud cover over it so that I could stare at it the whole time. And I was able to get an incredible video. It's posted on my Instagram, and to share some photos with you guys. It was just really, really special. And we are in the eclipse portal. We are in the middle of it. There's a lot of different energies going on the planet. We will touch on a few of those before we get into some really, honestly, I think this is going to be one of my favorite episodes that I ever create, because it really speaks to the destination, right? The destination. We all want to get to the destination, and there are so many mile markers along your journey when you're like, you know what? Life is really good. Life is really good, and it doesn't have to be perfect to be really, really good. It's all about my perception, my awareness, and who I am choosing to be. So just one final thank you to all of you for watching anything, any interactions on the YouTube channel. It's just meant the world to me. We have already hit some of the mile markers. We've blown past them for new YouTubers. it has just like taken my breath away. And if you haven't checked it out yet, I absolutely encourage you to. There's a ton of just new stuff. I mean, I'm posting new videos, activations, meditations every single day. And every day that I get up, there's a new one that's like, I want to come through. And I am exactly what they need to hear right now. I love starting a new project because I know the long game, especially that has been one of the biggest lessons of starting the podcast, is that it's the long game. You know, of course, I started out with a wonky intro and I was like trying to figure it out. And it took me like 4 hours to record my first episode. And I would go through and like tediously edit out every single And over time, you know, we learn how to get better and we train ourselves to not say or we train ourselves to not care if there's an in there. And over time, you get better. And so it's the long game. And that is definitely how social media is. That is definitely how YouTube is. I don't know that I would describe YouTube so much as social media, more as like a massive, almost like a Google platform. But there is some interaction. Honestly, actually, it's kind of like a giant library. And I think that might be why I like it so much. It's been my secret haven for like the past 6 months. I was never into YouTube, and then I got into ASMR and watching those videos, and now the beautiful ASMR artists, they talk me to sleep every single night. They definitely help me get to sleep, and I've just come to love a lot of the different art forms that are on there and people's journeys, and it's like a library, actually. So I kind of love that definition. But it's a long game. You're planting these seeds, and with the podcast, and anyone who's interested in starting a podcast or starting a YouTube channel or starting a public social media account, you have to think about the long game. It's never going to be the quick, instant results unless you're doing something that is almost like kind of flimsy, right? And it's something that doesn't have a lot of substance, because things with substance take time to grow. It takes time to grow on people. It takes time for that energy to send out the signature and attract those people to you. And so you're planting all of these seeds. And just like with the podcast, it's like in a year, someone will find that first video that I posted and tell me that it changed their life, or it changed their perspective, or it helped them in some way. And in 2 years, you know, someone will come across something that I said last week on one of those videos, and it'll mean the world to them. And so I get excited about that part of starting a new platform, and that part of planting all of these seeds and knowing that even if you are not reaping them right away, which I actually do feel like I'm reaping a lot more than I expected the first week on there. It's been incredible. But even if you're not, to just keep going. Like, that would be my message to you is don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to be wonky at first, to be awkward, to be the new kid. Don't be afraid of any of that, because it's not about that. It's about the long game. It's about who you are a year later, 2 years later, 10 years later. It's so easy to get the perception that a lot of these, you know, influencers or people who have a full-time job through social media, that they just showed up one day and had instant results. And when you really talk to them, especially the ones that started on Instagram, all of them started way back in like 2012, 2014, and they worked for years before they gained that traction. And so you have to kind of approach your own work that way too. And I think that me going into social media back in 2016 really taught me that lesson, that it's like, it's about the time that you put in to plant the seed. And then one day when you're least expecting it, it's like the most incredible results. So it's been really great, and you guys can join me there. It is at Wellspring Official. So it is my company's name. It is not called Luminary, but the Luminary Podcast is on there. It has its own channel under my domain, and you can listen to all of the newest episodes on YouTube. So I'm really, really grateful. The other two things we have coming up this week is we do have the group Quantum Healing. You can get that through the link in the show notes if you'd like to sign up and come live, or if you'd like to grab the replay. Those are hour-long group healings. They're very intense. They are through quantum healing, light language, higher light. And then on Friday, we have the banquet. This is the virtual dinner party, a social event for light workers, light leaders, those who want to be in community. It is not about me. It's not about me teaching anything. It's really about us just having genuine, beautiful conversations, getting to know everyone, getting to hear everyone's story. And there has been no greater reward, I think, for being brave and putting something out there that was so different. That wasn't a class, that wasn't a course. It was just like, let's have dinner together and let's all talk and share our stories and who we are and the vulnerability and like just getting to see light leaders like with like what we're struggling with. You know, we talked, the group of us in September, we talked a lot about the mother wound and like the shit we all have with our mothers. Like everybody has something, especially if you're a woman, like you've got some shit with your mother. And so we talked about that. And it was just so real to see others who are in the community and light leaders and emerging light leaders to just feel real and to be like, yeah, like I have that too. So much similarity, you know, without any of the pretension, without any of the like trying to be perfect spiritual person. It was just very raw, very real. And it was just like, those are the conversations that I'm interested in. Those are the conversations that I want to be a part of. We don't have to be perfect here, right? We're going to still learn elevated levels of consciousness. But when you reach elevated level of consciousness, you realize that the shitstorm is all a part of the whole and all is one. And like, we're all going to be okay. We're all going to make it. Like your shitty part is a part of you and it's lovable too. And, it's part of the one infinite creator, right? We've got a lot going on in the world, especially right now. It's so noisy out there. It's so noisy out there that sometimes I just, you know, just when I peek on the major news feeds on social media, I'm just like, man, it's so noisy. Like it is either a war or it's Taylor Swift, like one or the other. I think she has a song called like The Great War. You know, it's like one or the other. You're either talking about Taylor Swift or you're talking about a war. It's like it goes 0 to 100 really quick. So it's noisy out there, and the only thing I really want to share with you is that when we do not have healthy outlets for negative energy, when we are under regimes, when we are under dictatorships, when we are under governments that oppress us, and especially where the government is enforcing a religion over its people, or a religion is part of the expectation to be part of those people, these become the hotspots on the world where war breaks out because there is no healthy way to express your negative emotions. It's either all or nothing. It's either repression and oppression, or it's war and fighting and a lot of negative energy spewing out on both sides. And while I don't want to give my government too much credit as far as my own healing journey, you know, I did come from a place of really deep religious programming. You know, I've talked about it before. I essentially came out of a cult and I had to unteach myself. But not everybody in the United States was part of that cult. And when there are religions, especially that are intermixed with the government, it just creates this bubble of control around people, and it really makes people feel like there is no other option. It's all or it's nothing. And there's no healthy outlet for them to let out some of these negative emotions, and it boils over. And we need to have compassion and we need to do our own work. And essentially what my guides have said is stay in your own energetic lane. Stay in your own energetic lane as far as your energy. You can be aware, you can be informed, you can do your energy work and sending positive healing frequencies to these different hotspots that we have on the planet. However, to intermix and to intermingle with the negative frequency is where we start to fuck ourselves up, right? And it's where we start to join in with creating and perpetuating negative frequencies that are trying to find their way out of this planet because the overall frequency of this planet is too high for these negative frequencies to exist. So they have to be released, they have to be let out. And unfortunately, one of the ways for those energies to be released is through physical exertion, which becomes physical violence, which becomes hurting each other, which is essentially hurting ourselves. And so for us, especially in this community, and for myself, I really have to just be aware, be informed, do my energy work that I feel called to send to these hotspots on the planet. And by the way, the latest war is not the only one. It's just the one that is shown in Western news. It's really important to keep that in mind, that there are many other parts of the world where there's a lot of oppression, there's a lot of suffering, there is a lot of control. Right? And the control does not allow us to be free. But when wherever we are on the planet, and not all of you are on this North American continent, many of you are all over the world. And so it's so important for us, wherever we are located, for us to activate our freedom codes, for us to activate our fullest sovereignty, for us to be in our fullest expression, for us to meditate on and enjoy and to activate these higher frequencies, because energy is contagious and what we do matters, and it does spread to all of those in our energetic field and in our energetic network. This is exactly what Ra said in the latest Luminary letter. They said, the term light leader has been given to you because you will lead the choice of frequency. You have the opportunity, the knowledge, the know-how, the desire to choose a higher frequency, and that decision influences those around you. So we are essentially the example of how to choose a higher frequency, and that's how it influences others. We are not leaders as in we are in charge of others. We are leaders as in we volunteered to go first. And no matter what is happening on the planet, as these lower levels try to purge themselves out, as they try to release themselves out, no matter what is happening, it is so important for us to remember our mission, to remember why we came here, to remember what it is that we came here to do, to be the leader of choosing first, where all others thought there was no choice. And for us to say, hey, look, I actually found a different way. This frequency right here, this energy right here, this joy, this happiness, this peace, this contentment, choosing to purge out my negative energy in healthy ways instead of bickering, instead of fighting, instead of violence. The saying is completely true. We have to be the change that we want to see in the world. And I believe in each and every one of you that all of you are picking up what I'm putting down. To support you in that, I think it's important also to mention that I created a audio on YouTube, and it's called Higher Light Commands, and it's 33 channeled commands for anyone interested in negating, revoking and rescinding their consent to participate in lower frequencies from your body and your energy field. So it's across all, the whole entire board. It's everything from negative energy, forms of control, illnesses, negative self-talk. It's across the spectrum of what you receive into your reality and who you choose to be inside of your reality. It's really, really powerful. I encourage all of you to listen to it. And I give you the instructions at the beginning of the video of exactly what to do to activate all of those for yourself and your reality. And fair warning, what I've been telling everyone since I posted that video is that it's going to change your reality 100%, because the law of free will is one of the most important laws in the entire universe. And when you say, I do not consent to forms of control inside my reality, all of a sudden your reality starts to shift and change because you're in charge. You get to choose. You just didn't know that you were choosing and allowing something you were taught so long ago. So again, you can find it for free on YouTube. It's called Higher Light Commands. And definitely, let me know how that goes. I'd love to hear from you. It almost slipped my mind, but I actually do have one other thing that I wanted to tease, and that is that the Luminary Podcast is getting a regular guest host. It is, I am so freaking excited. I want to spill the beans, but I won't, because I want to do it in a really beautiful and special way and just honor this person as the light being that they are. It is someone who has never been on the podcast, and yet they are literally the one that my guides chose out of everyone who has ever come into my field. And they said that is the person for the job. And it's really, really exciting. We had our meeting last week to talk about what we are creating. And it is, again, something that we have never done on the podcast before. So I'm very, very excited, and really excited to have someone else in here on a regular basis to shake up the energy, shake up their perspective, and bring their uniqueness to the table. So I shall say no more, but you have the teaser. There will be someone new joining the podcast on a regular basis. All right, let's get into my soft era. This is an episode that has been growing inside of me, like all things that are soft and gentle and detoxed from the 3D reality. They grow a little bit more slowly. They are not the fire, instant idea or download that just, in a few hours comes to fruition. This one's been growing in me probably for about 3 months now. And of course, my guides would say, it's been growing in you for your whole life, and I definitely see that thread of the story, but absolutely growing inside of my awareness for the past 3 months. And this is actually, I think, my 4th time sitting down to record this episode. So it didn't want to be forced. It wanted to come gently, softly, in its own way. And yet, where we start with this story is the hardness, right? The harshness that comes before we realize that we get to choose softness. So much of this year and some of the really difficult things that I have been through and been dealing with has been what I call the initiation out of hardness and into softness. You guys, I grew up in a really rough home. I grew up like everything was hard, everything was harsh. From the bed that I slept on, from the different homes that I had to live in, from the types of food that I ate, which, by the way, were all so in the 90s, we just didn't know that the food had no nutrients. It wasn't a thing yet. And the food was hard and harsh, and there was no nutrients. And I remember living in California as a kid, and it was just desert everywhere. And it was like my feet never touched the ground. And so my energy was hard and harsh. And it was honestly like when you've been washing the same old clothes over and over and over again, and it starts to be scratchy and hard and uncomfortable, and it's the wrong size. That really is how I would describe my childhood. And it wasn't just the environment or the poverty, it was the people, right? My grandparents were harsh people. My parents were rough people. My father is a harsh person. My father is a hard person, literally hard to talk to, hard to get things through, hard to, like, you can't present new ideas, you can't present new information. Everything that like entered at like 1981, that is what is. That is the law. And I grew up in a harsh religion that was very strict, and I wasn't allowed to wear certain clothes. I wasn't allowed to talk about certain things. I wasn't allowed to talk about my body or any of the changes my body was going through. I wasn't allowed to talk about boys or how do I interact with them? Everything was kept very much in this harsh, square little box, and you had to stay there. And I know that I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one who grew up in that kind of environment. In fact, most people don't realize that they grew up in that kind of environment because it's so accepted as that was my reality, i.e., that must be how life is. Everything was hard. The hardest part was that I was actually really a happy, joyful, flower-loving, frolicking in the forest girly girl. And there's just no nice way to put it. Honestly, it got beaten out of me. It was not accepted to be this soft, dainty girly girl. When my parents have come from such harsh environments where everything was about surviving, allowing your child to be this soft, delicate, girly girl who's asking, can you please go pick flowers with me in the field? No, you're not going into that field. Go back into your room. Shut up, sit down, be quiet. Don't read that book. Read your Bible, like little 5-year-old kid, like shut up and be quiet, basically, get out of my hair. That was a comment that I heard all the time as a kid. I just got to get these kids out of my hair. So being soft was like unacceptable. You couldn't be soft. You couldn't be delicate, because how were you going to survive if everyone around you is harsh and hardened by life's difficult conditions and the idea and the belief that's so deeply embedded and programmed that life is hard, everything is hard, you have to work hard, money is hard, and people are hard, and you just gotta take what you can and can what you get and sit on the can until you're dead, kid. Yeah, I know, that sounds really fucking harsh, right? I was such a bright light, and I think about those first 5 to 7-ish years of just being this bright light and being so happy and being so imaginative. I was so imaginative. I could make up a world, all of these different worlds, probably drawing on all of my different past lives. And I could see angels. I didn't know what they were, but I knew that they were good and that they should be around me. And I felt safer when they were there. And I knew that I loved nature and I loved to be outside, but there was never anywhere really for me because I was always told I'm going to get stolen or kidnapped or run over or hit by a car. It was a lot of this fear-based conditioning all the time. And ultimately, I was punished for being happy. My dad has this habit of whenever you're happy and you walk into the house or a room and you're happy, of just fucking squashing that light as fast as he can. It's a reflection of his own deep unhappiness and his own issues with himself. But that was and is still his habit for years and years and years. Was if you're happy and you walk into the room, I'm going to find a way to fucking kill that light in you. it's pretty fucking harsh. And so I want you to know the hardness, because the hardness matters when I talk about the softness. It's kind of like that quote, may you never know the violence it took to become this soft, to become this gentle. And what I would add to that is, may you never know the trauma I unpacked to heal my heart and become this soft, to become this gentle. May you never know the screams that filled the room so that I could truly listen to you, so that I could choose quiet, peace, solitude. I learned around 7 years old that if I was happy, if I was joyful, if I was smiling, if I expressed my happiness and my joy, that I would be punished, that I would be asked, like, what the hell are you doing? Don't you have chores to do? What are you smiling about? What do you have to be happy about? And I would be punished in some way, whether that was physically or sent to my room. Usually it was given some sort of chore to do. And so I trained myself from about 7 years old to never show my happiness, to never show it, to always put on a frowny face, to always complain. I learned that when you walk into a room with people in my family, you don't come in with a smile on your face and celebration and happiness in your heart or love in your heart for no good goddamn reason. You do not do that. You will be stomped on until that light is out. But if you come into the room and you join in with us in complaining about things, then you will be accepted and you can stay and you will not be punished. And so I learned how to do that, how to be unhappy every single day. I trained the happiness out of myself as a kid, as a little kid. I trained myself to be a complainer, to see everything that was wrong in the world, and to see that everything in the world was against me. Everything in the world was an inconvenience to me. It was out to get me. It was out to hurt me. It was out to harm me. That I lived in a harsh, hard world. And in order to survive in it, I had to be a harsh, hard kid. Let me assure you, there is no universe where in order for a kid to survive, they have to be hardened or harsh, that they have to train themselves to be unhappy. Now, I know this universe pretty fucking well now, and I know that it's not true. But it doesn't mean that that didn't happen to me. And it's happened to millions of kids around the world. And I know what I signed up for in this lifetime. I know that I came to be the fucking motherfucker, literally, that would defy everything from that old programming so that I could change the paradigm, so that I could change the DNA, so I could change the karma, so I could change the energy, and I will create a new line and a new generation. And there are so many of you listening to this that that's your mission too. So I'm not alone. I'm not the only one. But I might be the only one you've ever heard say that. I might be the only one yet that you know who's willing to speak up about it. I trained myself to be unhappy because I was punished for my happiness. I was punished for my joy. I was punished for the things that I loved, the things that made me smile, the things that made me excited, the things that gave me imagination. Punished. Not just ignored. And I'm not sure which one would have been worse. I wasn't ignored. It was as if the joy put a target on my back, and I wanted to avoid pain. So I taught myself how to do anything, whatever it took, to take that target off my back so that I wouldn't experience any more pain, any more suffering, any more punishment for just being myself. In many ways, my natural happiness and softness, playfulness, imagination was psychologically beaten out of me. I just wasn't allowed to have it because the people around me didn't think that they could have it. It was untolerated, intolerable, not allowed. I fucking hate that phrase. Not allowed. You're not allowed, you're not allowed, you're not allowed, you're not allowed. God damn, I wish I could never hear those words again. If only I could tell everyone on this planet how much you're actually allowed to do. How much there is for you. How much love, how much prosperity, how much abundance, how much support, how much safety. You are literally the arms of God. Within the arms of God, within the arms of God, and it just keeps going and going and going and going. We all wonder why. Why do bad things happen? If this universe truly is love, then why is there hate? Why is there fear? Why is there suffering? Why do we hurt each other? And the reason is that in our universe, there must always be polarity so that we have context, so that we have contrast. In order for there to be softness and gentleness, there must be harshness and hardness. In order for there to be peace, there must be chaos. And we all have our lifetimes that we live where it's just pure chaos, where it's pure hardness, where it's pure harshness. And we have our lifetimes where it is pure love and pure ease and pure joy and pure flow. And we all have that one lifetime where you chose a different path, where you went from the chaos and you saw the fields of peace and you said, actually, I'd rather be there. Actually, I think I've learned enough from war and battles and being against others and believing in separation. I think I've evolved my consciousness past that point and I choose peace. We all have that one lifetime. And for me, it's this lifetime. When I think about the grand scope of all of my different lifetimes, all the different beings that I have been, you know, the 8-foot-tall Arcturian warrior, literally indestructible. They couldn't even kill me. I had to kill myself. When I think of all the beings that I've been, the strongest ones, the hardest ones, the harshest ones, the most impossible to get down, to get out, to defeat in battle. That wasn't the lifetime that would do. That wasn't the lifetime where the softness and the gentleness could come through. When I think of who I am in this lifetime, I'm like, holy shit. Out of everyone, we chose this soft, tiny little girl. That's who we chose? To go through the harshness and the hardness? She would be our bannerman. She would show us the way. She would choose a new way of being. This tiny little girl. That's who we chose for this incredible, impossible mission. And yet it makes complete and perfect sense. She's the only one that could do it. You're the only one that can do it. Because deep inside you is softness, is gentleness, is the decision to choose love. Despite everything. And even though it took 30-ish years, it was totally worth it. It was only this summer. I'm 31. It was only this summer that I realized so fully, so consciously, with so much comprehension. Of course it was her. Of course it was the soft, the gentle, the delicate, the dreamer, the imaginative one. She's the only one who has the heart and the soul. She's the only one who knows that love is the only frequency that carries you all the way home. My soft era, living softly, has meant a lot of things. It has meant slowing down, going slowly, realizing that all of the rushing was actually violence, that all of the rushing that we do in this world is choosing harshness and scarcity. So much falls away when you go slowly. The noise, the unnecessary, the programming. Even I, a teacher of energetics, still had so much noise in my field. But I don't regret it. I don't regret how long it took. I don't regret the lessons that I learned. Because in a way, it was a gift given to me so that I could give it to you. Living softly means honoring my sensitivity. Knowing that my sensitivity is my divinity. That there is no greater gift in the universe than the gift of deep sensitivity. It is an honor to realize, to embrace your sensitivity, to be able to say, I am deeply sensitive. To me, that is the equivalent of someone saying, I have realized that I am God. I have realized that I am deeply sensitive. It means you're so much further on the journey of consciousness, the journey back to oneness. The sensitivity is everything. The sensitivity is the softness that we need in this world, the ability to empathize with others. My sensitivity has led me to this job, to this service, to be able to teach others how to be a psychic channel. It is the psychic gifts, the sensitivity. And I know that you feel it. I know that you've always felt it. That you were too sensitive, that you were too soft, that you were too gentle, that you were too loving, that you felt everything too deeply for this world. We know. That's why you were called. That's why you were asked to come. That's why you volunteered. For so long, it's been so anemic on this planet. We need the sensitive ones. We need the soft ones. We need the ones that will choose to slow down. Living softly has meant saying no to high stress situations, people, places, the news. And that is exactly what led me to leave the family group chat last week. It's been 7 days. I feel so much better. That was a fucking toxic place. I did not belong there. And yet I stayed for way longer out of obligation, out of believing that I should, out of fear, out of people pleasing, and literally out of fear of offending people and getting into an argument with them. Now, I don't give a goddamn. I truly, truly don't. If you want to argue with me, you can try arguing with the wall, because that is much of a reaction that you're going to get out of me. It doesn't rile me anymore. The threats don't threaten me anymore. The harshness doesn't harden me anymore. Because I know who I am, and I know how to choose my vibration, my energy, my feelings. I know how to choose. I know when it's time for me to choose anger and what I like to call holy war, bringing down divine hell, causing a ruckus. I know when it's time to choose that. But the longer that you walk on this path, the more you realize those instances are so rare. And they never get the same result. Not the way as walking and being softly and gently and sensitively. going slowly and intentionally, not the same way that does. Living softly has meant celebrating things like rest. I used to be so fucking insecure about rest. So self-conscious that if I told people that I take a nap every day, and I literally take a nap pretty much every day. I'm sensitive, I'm psychic, I'm an energy reader. And so many of you are too, and so many of you are exhausted, running on your last bit of fuel. Years and years of burnout, years and years of adrenaline and cortisol. So many is suffering adrenal burnout. Literally your body that's designed for so much. Saying, this is like the last thread, this is the last thing I have to give, because we've been running and running and running for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Living softly means I celebrate things like rest. Instead of bragging how early I woke up or how little I slept, I'm celebrating how much I sleep. I happily, joyfully sleep in whenever I can. Sleep in, sleep more, rest more. I was fucking delighted when I announced that I was only working 3.5 days each week and taking 3.5 days off. I remember when my guide suggested it to me and I thought, that's absolutely ludicrous. I'll have to work 12, 14, 16-hour days to be able to do that. And they were like, no, we'll just cut out all of the unnecessary stuff. And I said, why 3.5? Well, specifically, they told me Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and half a day on Friday. And I said, that's 3.5 days. And they were like, yeah, and there's another 3.5. This is perfect balance. Living softly means no more overachieving. I honestly don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about achieving anything. Honestly, my presence on this planet is the mission completed. Living softly has meant daily devotion to consistent small steps. Daily devotion to the little tiny things that no one else would notice, but that I notice bring me joy, bring me peace, feelings of safety, security, comfort. Living softly has meant zero stress, no tolerance for it, no allowing it into my energy or into my field. If I feel that something is going to cause me stress, but I would still like to do it anyway, I really have to sit with it and ask myself what part of it is causing me stress, because stress is a collective pressure. This is one of the beautiful things that I learned from the Gene Keys. Stress is a collective pressure. If there were no other humans on this planet and it was just you, you'd never feel stress. You wouldn't know what that feels like, because it's a collective pressure. And it's one of the hardest ones on our nervous system. It absolutely fries the nervous system, which is trying to conduct the light and the energy to the rest of our body. I sit with it and I ask myself, what about this is creating or causing the stress? And it's almost always what other people will think or what other people's expectations are. And I notice it's the situations where I do have stress are situations that involve other people. And so freeing myself from stress has been freeing myself from caring what other people think, and especially letting go of the fear of disappointing others. Letting go of that. I cannot and I will not live up to all of your expectations, because expectations are nothing more than someone's projection. We all have them. We all do it. But we all get to choose if we want to participate in it with others. And I have chosen not to release myself from it. Living softly means no more judgment, because honestly, you can't walk this path of softness and gentleness and slowing down and sensitivity and daily devotion and small steps and letting go of overachieving and letting go of stress and letting go of caring what other people think and letting go of other people's expectations if you're still holding on to judgment. Because self-judgment is what blocks you from all of that. Self-judgment is what creates the barricade that says, I can't do that. All these people have all these expectations. I have all this stress. I have all these places that I need to be. I can't slow down. I can't live softly. I can't live gently. I've got to fight. I've got to fight. Haven't you heard about my fight that I've got? Everybody I talk to has a fight going on in their life somewhere. Mine, for the longest time, was my family. Just let it all go. Just let it all go. I was so afraid of leaving their group chat, of disappointing them, of saying something that will offend them, of saying, no, I am not available for that family outing. No, I don't believe in your religion anymore. No, I'm a witch, actually. So afraid. So afraid. Trust me, everyone's got a battle going on, and the only thing I would say to anyone who is still fighting is that you're going in a circle. You're going in a circle. You are going to go in a fabulous, beautiful circle. You will learn many lessons about yourself. I've been there at all the worst ones, all the biggest battles, all the galactic wars. And what I learned from all of those lifetimes is that it's never the answer. It never gets you the result that you want. Going to battle, fighting for it, is to be in the pressure, the control, the resistance, and the forcing of it. And absolutely none of those are expansive frequencies. Without an expansive frequency, you cannot possibly receive that which you desire into your reality. The answer will always be letting it go. The second that you don't care, that you don't give a damn, is the second that the situation changes itself. The reason that we battle is because some deep part of us is judging them, but is secretly judging us. Some deep part of us is secretly judging us. In order to live softly and gently and sensitively and slowly and intentionally, you have to make the conscious choice that you are no longer going to judge yourself, that you free yourself from all judgment, that you do not consent to judgment anymore. I do not consent to judgment. I do not consent to self-judgment in perpetuity, forever. I release myself, I free myself from my own judgment and all perceived judgment from others. We always think it's someone else, that it's the world. I've had so many people tell me this week, haven't you heard what's going on in the world? The world is so noisy, everything that's happening in the world, in the world, in the world, in the world, in the world. And I just want to tell you that you're actually the only one here. 8 billion people, one being. You are the creator, the conductor, the director, the writer, the producer, and the actor of all the different characters in your universe. So have I heard what's going on out in the world? Yeah, I've heard. And I know that it's something going on in other people's universe. That in order for me to be a force of light in this world, it's up to me to choose that for my universe. It's up to me to lead with my choice, to lead with a frequency, the one that no one else around me is choosing, the one that's going to make me the black sheep, the one that's going to make me the odd man out, the one that everyone is going to gossip about, the one that everyone is going to judge, the one that everyone wants to be hard and to harsh and to get into violence and conflict with. In order for me to be different, in some ways I have to simply accept, yeah, I'm that one. And choose the unpopular thing. And choose the strange thing. And choose the thing that so many people might perceive as bad or unnecessary or selfish or unavailable somehow to them as well. Because I know 5, 7, 10, 15 years down the road, everything I'm saying will be old news. Everyone will be living softly. Everyone will be living gently. Everyone will be honoring their sensitivity as their divinity. Everyone will be obsessed with their devotion to small daily steps. Everyone will celebrate rest. Everyone will say, I am soft, I am gentle. And all the mothers and all the fathers will say, I have so much time to go out to the field and pick wildflowers with you. I have so much time. There's time enough for you, there's gentleness for you, there's softness for you. And all the little girls and all the little boys will get to be soft and gentle and dreamers and imaginative and creators. And they will be so far beyond our wisdom. They will eclipse in a moment everything I will have ever said. I know that day is coming. I've already seen it. In many ways, it already exists. Because this little girl is choosing to be soft, to be gentle, to be sensitive, in the face of a world that says we are hard and harsh. How dare you? And she says, I'm not afraid of you anymore. You're just the monster in my closet. You're just the monster under my bed. You're just an illusion. Let us go. Let us go. To the field, picking wildflowers. We've got all the time in our world. All the time in our world. Beloved one, if you enjoyed this episode, I hope that you will share it with a friend. Someone out there that you can see there is a little boy, a little girl, a little they, a little them, that desires a different way of being. More gently, more softly. Beautiful beings of divine light, I will see you on the next one.